Ladies and gentlemen, podcasting since 2005. You're listening to Gamertag Radio with your hosts, podcaster Hall of Famer Danny Pena, the always opinionated Parris Lilly, and from outside of the norm, Peter Toledo. This is Gamertag Radio.
Welcome to episode 1152 of Gamertag Radio. I'm Parris, and I'm joined by Pete.
What's up? How you doing?
I'm good, thank God. Danny is not here, so we can actually have a conversation about video games and not be interrupted like 1,000 times. No, but seriously, Danny's not here. Danny is out and about. If you follow him on the socials, then you'll know where. But he'll be back later this week. So hope Danny is having a good time wherever he is in the world right now. But yeah, Pete, it's going to be you and I on this episode. There's definitely a few topics that we want to hit. Kind of cover here in the week of gaming. It's been another interesting week, so to speak. But first and foremost, I just want to know how you've been, man. It's actually been a minute since you and I have actually podcasted together.
Yeah, it's been a while. I mean, I'm in Europe. I'm thankful now. You know, just travel is starting to ease up, so that means I can actually go over. I'll actually be stateside again in September. So in about 4 weeks, I'll be traveling. You and I, we have very, very similar pathings with career and family. You know, we've got kids in college and kids growing up. Dude, my daughter's leaving for college in a few weeks. I'm going to be an empty nester. I've gotten to that. I've leveled up. I've hit the achievement. I've gotten to that point in my life where I'm going to be an empty nester. And I don't know, as much as I crave the quiet, like there's nobody in the house right now. They just left and it's quiet. I don't know how I'm going to deal when it's a permanent thing. Cause like, there's always got to be some kind of like minor chaos in the household just to make to make it your home. But now she's not going to be here in a few weeks. So it's like, I've prepared my adult life for this moment and now it's gone. I don't know how to handle it. But other than that, I mean, you know, work is really good. You know, I'm thankful. You know, there's you know, family is good. Wife is happy. I mean, what can I say, man? But, you know, enough about me, dude. Let's talk about you, dude. You're just blowing up on the socials. You're doing gigs on Xbox. It's fantastic, dude. Just congratulations on everything. I mean, I don't think we've like actually been on the stream and had this conversation since you did the Xbox Live showcase. So it's like it's great to be on air with greatness here. So.
Oh, jeez, I'm just definitely not that. You know, it's funny, and we'll get into video game talking here in just a second. But you know, it's funny, yeah, because you and I haven't actually talked directly since I've done all that. Do you know I hated it when I first watched it with my family?
I can imagine. I know this because you and I've had this social anxiety conversation. And you're looking and seeing and hearing yourself, and it's just like,
yeah. All I could see is everything I was doing wrong. That's all I could see. It didn't really, you know, my wife smacked me upside the head right away. It's like, no, this is great. What are you talking about? But I didn't really calm down and settle in on it until the Khalif thing, because that like genuinely made me laugh because I did that. That was just off the top of my head,
right?
When I did that in real time, that was one take off the top of my head, because in the script they knew I was going to do something. I had already said, "Hey, you know, this okay?" Everyone was good with it, but what I did in that moment was just real time. That wasn't in the script at all. So it was just funny. It made me laugh, and you know, and since then I've come to, you know, appreciate, you know, what I did during that. And I've obviously seen all the positive feedback, and I'm very thankful for all of that. I've heard, you know, what you've said, Danny said, other people, and I'm very thankful for that too. It was a lot of fun. It was a great experience. That was my first time being on camera, being on stage, reading off a teleprompter and understanding all that stuff. So it was a lot of fun. And yeah, I mean, it was a cool experience.
Absolutely.
It's been an interesting summer. Let's put it that way. So we'll see what happens next. But I appreciate the kind words. But and just in general with me, just life. Yeah, family's good. Obviously, you know, I still have two younger kids. You know, my oldest, you know, she's in college as well. So we're navigating that. And obviously with the pandemic, a lot of it's been remote, but she's going to be able to go on campus here at the end of the year. My son is in 10th grade, going into 10th grade now. You know, he's on the JV basketball team, and we're just navigating all that. And then my youngest, she's going into middle school this year. So it's life, man. It's like, where the hell did all the time go? Like, it's funny, like you're dealing with the empty nester stuff. Now we're dealing with because, you know, we'll do family vacation stuff during the summers. Now we're getting to that point where, because we'll go with other families and everything, where all our kids are getting to that age where all the little kid stuff they used to love to do, none of them want to do it anymore. So it's weird. It's just weird, you know, having kids that age. So life, man. It's like, what are you going to do?
No, and then they want to go out and do something, and you're like, no, but I have this whole thing planned. And they're like, but we don't want to do that, Dad.
Yeah, they don't want to do that. Everything's dumb. Everything's lame and dumb. Nothing's fun anymore. It's hilarious.
It's awesome. It's great, though.
Yep. All right. So again, let's go ahead and jump into the episode proper. And again, I want to remind everyone, if you have a comment, voicemail, any feedback, you can do it just like this.
Send us your feedback or questions. Give us a call at 786-273-7GTR. Email us at fanmail@gamertagradio.com or leave a message on speakpipe.com/gamertagradio.
All right, Pete. So, like I said, this has been an interesting week in gaming. There's definitely been some fun things to get hands on with. So, the first thing I wanted to talk about is the Ascent. Now, have you gone hands on with that at all?
I have not, unfortunately. I have not had an opportunity to. So, you know, I'm curious. I have heard a lot of good things on, social media and on online. But I'm curious to hear, because you and I, depending on the game, you and I kind of like differ in our opinions. But I'm curious because I'm just going based on what I have seen online on gameplay. I haven't had a chance to play, and it is one of those titles that when they did announce it last year, I was like, oh, okay, here's something that has my eye, but I haven't had a chance to play it. So I just want to hear your take on it.
Yeah, the Ascent is interesting. So I've been hands on with it. I actually did a review on a XCast yesterday. You can go check out XCast for that. Myself, Mike, and Greg Miller. But I've been playing it for a week or so, and I like it. I just don't love it. But I am impressed with the world building that Neon Giant has done with the Ascent. For people who want to understand what the Ascent is, it is a top-down twin-stick shooter RPG. It's set in a quote-unquote cyberpunk futuristic world. It's pretty much a shooter in that way, looter shooter. Think kind of in the vein of a Diablo, something like that. It's fun. It's a lot of fun in a co-op setting. Not so much solo. I think even with the co-op, there's some issues as well where I think they need to fix some of the scaling. Kind of think like you and I playing The Division back in the day, and you want to have someone come in at a lower level to where you are and still be able to compete and be able to fight the same amount of enemies you are. They have none of that in the Ascent. If you come like right now, I'm like a level 18. If you come in at a level 2, you will get smashed coming into my world. Vice versa, I come into yours, I'm just going to mow everyone down, in those early levels because, I'm such a high level. Right. So that's a quality of life thing they need to fix. Some of the exploration, just trying to go to points of interest like side missions, turning in bounties, things like that. I'm not a big fan of the way that the levels are set out. Like they don't have like a marker to where if I see like, oh, I want to go to that side mission, I can put a set marker on that and go to that side mission. That's not in the game. And the Ascent world, there's some verticality to it, different levels. So you may think you're going to where like, oh, it's a side mission here. Oh, is it on that floor? Is it on that floor? It's like, how do I get to it? So some of the navigation in that wasn't necessarily a fan of. Overall, though, I mean, as far as just the pure gameplay loop, love it. Absolutely love it, especially in co-op. When you play, obviously, and again, you got to be playing with someone of similar level. But that I love, the shooting aspects of it, getting augmentations. Kind of think think like abilities that you can have. Like you can have like an aggressive melee ability. You can have like a shield, things like that you can get. There's a cyber deck that you can upgrade so you can improve your hacking to get into like various locations, things like that. The different type of weapons that you'll be able to pick up and then eventually upgrade. You can craft weapons, things like that. It is a classless system, so you're not locked into being a sniper or a tank build or anything like that. You can kind of build what you want, and you can swap some things out on the fly as well, depending on the scenario that you're in. All that's great, and I'm telling you now, drop dead gorgeous game. I mean, so like I said, the world that they have built, it's phenomenal. I love it. I love the atmosphere of it, and I'll just be frank, this is what Night City should have been. I love it. I think it's great, and it's amazing to me because that's kind of been, this year has been the year for me of the indie and the AA developer, and just marveling at these small studios making these very impressive games. And Neon Giant has actually absolutely nailed that as far as, like I said, what they have built. I can't believe 12 people made this because it's that good as far as what they've designed. My main issue is more of, like I said, the quality of life stuff. There's just some nitpicky things that I wish they could go back and fix. And like I said, kind of just the way that you navigate through the world, things like that. Right. Even just going to your main objectives. I don't know if you remember playing Perfect Dark Zero and how they had like, or even like Fable, where you got the breadcrumb trail and things like that. To me, that just goes to show you it's not very, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not easy to navigate through the world, that they know they have to kind of give you this trail to be able to get to the thing that you're trying to get to. And that only exists to go to your main mission. You can't do that for any of the side stuff that you haven't already gone to. You know what I mean? So, like I said, things that they just need to fix. They need to fix the scaling. They need to fix the navigation through the world. But when you're actually engaging, some of the boss battles that you're getting into, just some of the characters that you'll meet, the story didn't really grab me. I know some other people really dug it, but to me, it was just kind of so it wasn't something that I really engaged with. I mean, my biggest recommendation for it right now is play with friends. If you can play with friends, you're going to have a great time. You play with solo, you're going to run into some frustrating moments where it just seems like the difficulty just really ramps up for no damn reason, because I think the difficulty is meant for a co-op experience versus a solo experience. But that's just me. And I've seen comments where people disagree with me, and that's fine. But that's just been my overall experience right now. And I think the final thing I would say on it, like I said, I'm at 18. I'm close to being done. I'm not 100%, but I have a good gauge of the world and everything I'm playing. That's why I'm talking about it. But I don't know, again, solo, if I'll go back and revisit this. It doesn't feel like something I want to go back and play again. Right. Now, if some friends say, hey, Parris, want to jump in? Let's do some co-op missions or whatever. Absolutely. I would jump in and do that. I think that would be a lot of fun. But beyond that, I think this feels like a one and done type of game for me, where I'll roll credits on it, and I don't see a reason to go back unless it's in co-op. But again, the positives of this is it's $30. It is on Game Pass if you're subscribed to that. I played it via Xbox, so I did play it on PC, but I played it via the Xbox app on PC, and then I've hopped back and forth to play it on console as well. There is a Steam version that you can get too. You cannot do co-op Steam to Xbox. So Xbox on PC, Xbox console can play together, but you can't play Xbox to Steam and vice versa. So if you want to do co-op on Steam, everybody has to be on Steam, or everyone has to be on Xbox, as an example. But this is a good, solid AA game. It absolutely is. Again, Neon Giant, I want them to continue with the world building here with the Ascent. I want to see more with it, be a full-on sequel, DLC expansion, whatever the case. There's definitely more stories to tell in this world, and I think this is a great opportunity for them to get lessons learned from the community, kind of hear our feedback, and improve upon it, because I do think they're onto something. So I think that's it.
Sweet.
Any comments or questions on that?
I do. Well, the first question you already answered, which was crossplay, right? Obviously, it's a given that it was going to be able to play between Xbox platforms or Xbox ecosystem. But from Steam, it is somewhat disappointing, but I get it, right? It's a Microsoft exclusive, so you're only going to be able to play it there. I'm glad to see a return to top-down shooters because I think it's missing in today's day. Remember, I love shooters, right? Like 95% of my gaming catalog and inventory is mostly shooters, but it doesn't always have to be, first and third person. A top-down shooter does give you plenty of those opportunities, and I'm really glad to see that this game embraced it and it did it successfully. And I know when we first saw this announced, last E3, the one big question was the comparability to obviously the big monkey in the room, which was Cyberpunk. And so the fact that hearing not just you but other people saying that this is potentially what Cyberpunk could have or should have been,
the atmosphere of it, yes,
it's great. Obviously for Neon Giant, that definitely does have to sting if you're looking at it from a CD Projekt Red perspective. And I'm curious if there's going to be more DLC coming down the line, because you said like this seems to be like a one and done type. You run through it once and you're done. But is there a reason to ever come back? And have we heard from Neon Giant whether they're going to add more to bring players back to this world?
I talked to the creative lead during the preview period when I got hands-on with it then, and I did ask him that question, and he just said they have nothing to announce now. So it sounds like there's potential there, but they're clearly not ready to commit to anything yet. Again, I want to see more come from the Ascent. I want to see more happen here. Like I said, it's okay. It's not the greatest game ever. I don't think we'll be talking about this as a Game of the Year candidate or anything like that. But for a AA game, what they've done is very impressive. I always like to point that out. That doesn't excuse some of the things that I don't like about the game, but I think there's enough here that it is worth your time if you sit down and play it. Absolutely. Like I said, there's just some quality of life things that I wish they could kind of clean up a little bit, and I think they'll be fine. But as far as the atmosphere, the world building that they've done, I mean, kudos to Neon Giant. I am liking what I'm seeing. And like I said, when you get into the actual gameplay loop, the action of the game, you're fine. It's good. It's good, right. Especially in a co-op setting, especially when you start being able to synergize with some teammates, weapons, abilities, back and forth, when you're chaining that stuff together, mowing down enemies, taking down a boss together. That's a lot of fun. And that ultimately, that's what it's all about. There's just a couple different hoops, like again, and I know I was playing it early before it finally came out, and I believe a patch has even come out at this point. But even trying to connect on co-op, I was having some issues, connecting to people. But those are technical issues that'll get ironed out over time, so I'm not too concerned about that. Like I said, just kind of lackluster story. Navigating through the world isn't the best. The UI, even the menus could have been streamlined a little more. You will have to do a little digging to find a few things. Like I said, it's just things like that kind of take away from the experience a little bit. But overall, like I said, as far as a co-op game goes, absolutely check it out, pick it up, play it. I think you will enjoy it 100%.
That's good.
All right. So that is the Ascent. Now, I want to move on because I'm pretty sure I think I saw that you've been playing this. I hope you did, because then we can definitely have a big conversation about it. But Halo Infinite, the technical preview is out. I've been playing it, and Pete, pretty sure you've been playing it too.
Yep. Just as recent as just prior to us coming online, I was jumping in and playing it because, I mean, it'd be remiss. We've talked so much about this highly anticipated return from just a legendary title such as Halo. It would be a massive disservice if we didn't. First and foremost, I am so glad they took the year to pull it back, throw some more spices in there, and put it back in the oven, because good God, it needed it. What we've seen here so far is a much better representation or expectation from, I guess, us as gamers, us as the older generation of gamers. I like what I see. Granted, it's just the multiplayer. And while, yes, the multiplayer is probably the giant for this franchise, for me, it's always been the single player, right? I've always gone and said, everybody's jumping in first time, going into Slayer and CTF and everything else. But my first thing has always been play the campaign completely from beginning to end and then jump into the multiplayer. Because for me, that's how I get to truly understand each and every component, not go into an online setting and get frustrated because I don't know how to jump or find grenades or flip through grenades, right? So we're not going to see that for quite some time, but just opening up the menu, hearing the audio, hearing the orchestral, music coming through for Halo Infinite. And I got to say, man, it felt good to be back in John 117's jockstrap to say the least. It felt good. Playing through Slayer, the comfort level was there. Again, smoothness. I don't know about you. I mean, I know you're on the 3090 Ti. I'm still on a 2080 Ti, and it still looked and played fantastic. I didn't get any jags. I didn't get any of the hitches or graphical issues that I've had in past iterations. I know from trying to play the Master Chief Collection with some of our community members online, there's been some moments where it doesn't sync up. But for me, playing in EU, and I'm not sure if they had me lined up with other folks. I don't know if they had me lined up with other folks in EU or if I was playing against people in the States, but I didn't seem to have any issues. And I understand that this is a beta while Parris shows off the 3080.
This is literally yours. I just need to send it to you.
I know. But I don't know if they had me matched up with EU players, or if they had me matched up with NA players or what. But I had a good time. It was rather enjoyable. Getting into it, for me, was a little bit slow going because I wasn't used to some of the controls. Obviously, being able to bunny jump and chuck your grenades and whatnot was fun. I really like the fact that they have that little training ground area up front that you can go in. You can get familiar with all your guns, the BR. Favorite was the pistol, obviously. But so far, so good. Maybe because I'm here in the EU and I don't know if the flight is worldwide. So the match times were a little interesting. And again, today I didn't have an issue, but for me it was like 2:00 in the afternoon when I was playing. And if I am playing against NA people, I don't know if people are playing at 9 a.m. But I mean, other than that, honestly, for me, playing on PC, I know it's probably a much different experience playing it on console, etc. But for me, I haven't had any issues with gameplay, and I've been very, very happy with it.
No, that's great. That's great to hear. And just to kind of touch on something you said there at the end, I've played on PC. I played across PC, Series X, and S. Mm-hmm. Seamless experience across all three. So that really is showing you that they've definitely been working and optimizing on this. And I do agree with something you said at the top. Thank God they did delay this a year. I tried to envision what this would have looked like if it came out a year ago versus now. And you can tell the extra time has allowed them to put some extra polish, QAing, potentially get features in there that may not have been in there a year ago. As an example, the thing that stands out to me the most has been the gunplay, the weapons, the sample size that we've had. Mm-hmm. They all feel good in their own unique ways. The movement feels right. Like it's funny. I think it was Zach Ryan, used to be at IGN. He's over at Twitch now, but I think he's the one that tweeted this. He goes, "They finally cracked the code on sprint. This feels like the right amount of sprint. Like they're not overdoing it or overdoing it. This feels like the good middle ground for sprint. And obviously sprint has been, a huge, a taboo issue in the Halo community. Some people love it. Some people hate it. I feel like this is the great compromise to kind of appease both sides. Yeah, I've really been enjoying this. I really have. And, we've obviously talked about this a lot over the years, just being skeptical of what this multiplayer is going to be. Do they need a battle royale? All these different things that we've said over time. And, I talked about this after I went up to Seattle and, did the showcase, and I got to sit down with Tom French and those guys, and we got to, kind of review the multiplayer trailer that they had. When the first time I saw it, because, I had to see everything early, and I'm in this tent and I'm in there with the video editors because they had to show me all the trailers ahead of time. So they showed me the trailer, for the multiplayer. And it was in that moment after I watched it, I go, okay, I see what they're doing. They don't need battle royale. They're doubling down on what makes Halo great. And that's exactly what they're doing here. This isn't them trying to come up with some gimmicky new mode or whatever. It's like, no, we're going to give you classic Halo type maps. We're going to optimize your movement. We're going to make sure these weapons are fine tuned, and we're going to let you loose, and we're going to let you go have fun. And I've been having fun the past few days. And this is now, look, this is a small sample size. We've still not done head-to-head PvP. Knock on wood. We might be able to do that later tonight. We'll see. So that might change opinions by the time we get to that. But going up against these bots, like, it's interesting. Like, you started off with the Marine bots, and I don't know if you got to play against those in the ODST ones, but going against the Marine, I was like, oh, okay, it's it's not too much of a challenge here, but it's fun to be able to get in there and shoot at things. The ODST ones actually made me have to, oh, wait, you actually got to do some strats here. You can't just run in there, go running and gunning. So it was nice to see that challenge. They're definitely grenade spammers for sure, which I love. So I'm eagerly anticipating, because later today they're going to turn on the Spartan bots to see what that challenge looks like, from that perspective. But again, this is another great quality of life thing that they put in there, because I think the biggest thing that the biggest challenge that 343 has is the hardcore Halo guys are picking this up day one no matter what. They just are. But it's getting people that are on the fence, or getting people that have never played a Halo game, getting them in and giving. And Brian Gerard and those guys and Tom French, they talked about this during the preview stream that they did. They want to be able for anybody to pick up a controller and not feel like the first time they run into Halo, they're getting smashed. So that's what the Academy is for. That's what these bots are for, with the different difficulties. It allows you to ease in, understand the weapons, understand the maps, understand how the multiplayer works before you really start getting to that competitive side, with head-to-head PvP. And we obviously need to see the other modes. We need to see what big team battle looks like. We need to see, how the vehicles are and all that. So this is by no means, the final verdict on Halo multiplayer. But as a first impression, yeah, I'm digging this. Absolutely. Like I said, having fun with it. The 3 maps that I've got to play so far, I like the the variety that they've had in there. They have various choke points, the verticality, God, I'm forgetting the name now. Not the bizarre one. It doesn't matter. But one of the maps definitely had a verticality to it, which I enjoyed as well. And the equipment that's in there now, being able to do the grapple shot, being able to, have your overshield, have your firewall as examples, the threat detector that you can throw down, being able, because I'm thinking ahead when you're actually going against human opponents, being able to strategize and use those, with your teammates, to take down your enemies. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. I was very skeptical of this, for sure. We've been very critical of this, but them making this free to play is going to be huge for them, because it's going to allow so many people that were on the fence to be able to jump in and at least try it. And I think that's the biggest thing that they can do, get people to try it. There was a stuttering issue on PC yesterday that they were able to quickly fix, but I think the biggest potential that they're going to have with Halo Infinite is going to be the PC community. You're going to get so many people on PC that will want to jump in and play this. I don't know if you saw what Tim Geddes, what he posted on Twitter. He was able to, the fact that you can seamlessly do controller and keyboard and mouse all at the same time if you want to is wild. So he's using a controller in his left hand to basically steer, and then he's using a mouse to aim and do everything he's doing at the same time. I thought that was really cool. You can also do mouse and keyboard on console as well if you so choose. Right. I know there's some controversy getting into the esports realm. They're talking about controller and keyboard and mouse all being used, and people aren't liking that. I did see Brian Gerard come out and say, hey, look, we got plenty of time here. We're monitoring what's happening. This isn't final. Things could change. So we may see that change once we actually get to the final product as far as esports goes. But for me, just the casual Halo player, all that, I could care less, whatever. I just want to go play with my friends and go have fun. It's not like I'm going to be some Halo superstar anyways. But I think for just normal competitive PvP, this is going to be fun. I can't wait for Big Team Battle. That's probably where I'm going to live, honestly, is on Big Team Battle, because I love the vehicle gameplay. But this has been a great first impression for Halo Infinite. Agreed. And I've said it before. I'll say it again. Honestly, them delaying it a year is probably the smartest decision they've made in the history of Xbox. In the 20 years of Xbox, this was probably their smartest decision, because whether they want to publicly admit it or not, there's so much writing on this game. It can't flop. It literally cannot flop. It can't be, as I was just talking about the Ascent, it can't just be okay. I still stand by that. It can't just be okay. It has to be great. It has to be on both the multiplayer and the campaign, but even more so the multiplayer, because the multiplayer is where the majority of your time is going to be interacting with Halo Infinite. They got to nail it. And it looks like they are. And it looks like they took the right approach of, let's double down on what we do best. And then once we nail all that, then we can start looking at other modes and doing other things and all that. Even going into that battle pass and the customizations that you can do with your Spartan. I spend a lot of time tinkering around with that stuff too. I can see me, wanting to get the battle pass. I love that you don't feel rushed with your battle pass. You buy the battle pass that you want. You run through it. It doesn't expire. You don't have to get the latest and greatest battle pass. You can get all that stuff that they're doing. It's just quality of life things. And then going into the customizations with your armor, I've already been messing around with that stuff, playing around with it. So imagine once the final game comes out and they have all these different and unique armor sets that you can get, customizations, you can weapon skins, all these things that you're going to want to tinker around with. And it's going to be a fashion show. It's all cosmetic. It's not going to change and help you in gameplay, but it's another thing to engage within the game, which I think it's going to be a lot of fun to do. So I do think they're onto something. I have a good feeling. I have my Spidey sense. I have my bad Spidey sense with Anthem and stuff like that. But this is the good one. This is my death's door good Spidey sense, where I'm like, I think they might be onto something, and I definitely think they are. And I'm really excited, to see more of these modes come out during these flights. And obviously, once the final game comes out, most likely on the 20-year anniversary in November.
You're listening to Gamertag Radio.
This episode is sponsored by Namecheap. You're probably wondering who they are. Well, for one, they're the world's second largest domain registrar and a top service provider for everything you need online. They've been around for over 20 years, and they offer hundreds of domain extensions, from the traditional .coms and .nets you see online to the newer .gg and .live domains, which are now becoming a go-to for many gamers and creators. So get a .live domain name today for only $1.99 and seamlessly redirect your live streams to Twitch, YouTube, Instagram, or any other platforms you might be using. You can also use your .live domain name in your bio, social posts, live shouts, and stream chats, and also grow your fan base. More and more gaming influencers are adopting the .live domain name as a streamlined way for their audience to find their online presence. You could be one of them. In addition, Namecheap is offering GTR listeners 30% off of any non-premium domain name, including .com and other popular extensions. To access either of the deals, go to namecheap.com, select any non-premium domain name, and enter the code GTR in the promo box at checkout. So in order to get your .live domain name for only $1.99 or enjoy 30% off any other non-premium domain, go to namecheap.com, search for your desired domain, and use the code GTR at checkout. Once again, that's namecheap.com.
This is Gamertag Radio. Voicemail at 786-2737-GTR.
I mean, I put a link of what you were talking about from Tim Geddes in the chat just to see what people think about it. And it's I never thought that something like that would be possible. I don't know what kind of mindset you need to be to be able to controller in one hand, mouse in the other, and successfully navigate and go through the game and play. And that's almost brilliance. But the gameplay in and of itself, it almost feels a natural progression from 4, because I'm ignoring 5 mentally. It almost feels like a 4 to PC Infinite, like it's just a natural progression. It looks and plays smooth. Like this is what we were expecting. I think this was what our expectations were last year, but I don't think the developers were there yet with syncing up our expectations to what they could achieve. And I hate that we keep, harping on it, but the delay did it right. They needed to do this. They just looking at the textures, looking at the assets that we've seen so far, obviously seeing it in gameplay and seeing 4K assets or B-roll or cinematics, that is one thing, but seeing the gameplay look and feel and play as well as it has now, with my mouse in my hand and all, it's finally there. Thank you. And then again, we've got a lot more time to go, right? It's now officially August 1st. We've got at least 3 months and change before it ships. I'm sure it'll be a little bit less than that. Obviously they got to go gold and then they got to publish. We'll likely see a day one patch, obviously, because they're always going to be tinkering and updating and enhancing, for lack of a better term. But I'm glad to see some good news come out of the Microsoft booth for once, right? Because everybody usually gives it a lot of grief, either A, out of frustration, B, out of disappointment, or just they're just sick and tired of hearing the disappointment or not being happy about a Microsoft title. And this, I'm glad to see it's finally shifting back over. We're seeing that needle shift over to the green and good. So I'm happy. I'm enjoying it. I think it was Mombasa. They brought in a new one.
There's like the Bazaar. I'm
Bizarre.
I've just been playing. I ain't even been paying attention to damn names. Yeah,
Recharge
something like that.
One, so
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, because it was funny. I didn't actually get a hold of it until like one of the last matches I did last night. But have you tried that shotty yet? That power weapon?
The one that like you can flip. It's kind of like the plasma cutter from Dead Space.
No. Straight up shotgun. It's like called a bulldog or something like that.
Oh yeah. Well, I've played it. I don't think I've played it in game. I've done it definitely in the training arena, because I go through each of the guns. But yeah, that's an interesting one. It's a very
it packs a punch. I was like, ooh, like you could feel it, like it was good. But you're talking about that heat wave gun. I that was pretty cool as well. And then you have, and I'm blanking on the damn names now, but it's like you shoot out those projectiles. Gosh darn it, I'm screwing up the name. Anyways, the power weapons are good. They feel good, and then you can no scope like when the announcer goes. Is it the sidekick? I'm screwing up the name. It doesn't matter. But I love the announcer. He's all no scope when you do that. That always pumps me up when to play it. Oh, have you tinkered around with some of the different AIs in there as well?
No, I haven't. I've just literally gone in, press start, go. I've not touched on
Skewer. Thank you, chat. The Skewer. Thank you. Okay. I was screwing up the name. Yeah, the Skewer. That's the other power weapon. That one's pretty cool. Yeah, the Heat Wave, the Skewer, Bulldog, Shotgun. Obviously the sniper is old steady, rocket launcher, things like that. But yeah, it's pretty good. The different AIs are cool. It'll be interesting again to see the final product, and then obviously that opens up the opportunity for them to put in some fun quote unquote celebrity voice AIs in there. I joked around on Twitter. I was like, put me in there. I'll do AI voice. But yeah. Again, man, I mean, it's like I said, we keep harping on it, but it's just the truth. I'm glad it got delayed a year. They didn't force this thing out because clearly it needed more time. And we're seeing the fruits of that labor now, where the extra time, especially during the pandemic, has allowed them the freedom to really get this thing polished, and get the features in there that they want at launch. And then obviously get the basics right, and then iterate on that stuff moving forward. And we'll see what other new modes and things come out, in the future. But this was a great first impression. They needed it. This thing needed to pop. For sure. From the first time people, outside of 343 actually got their hands on. And I think they did a great job. It's just been overwhelmingly positive throughout the community for everything that I've seen. Like I said, I have a good feeling about it. I'm looking forward to head-to-head PvP. I want to see big team battle. I want to see vehicles, all that stuff. And then, like I said, we'll roll on into November, get that campaign, go from there. But I'm happy for Halo. Because we're on the 20-year anniversary, there isn't an Xbox without Halo, and I think everything with that franchise and that IP staying relevant rides on this game, just does. So I want it to pop. I want it to be great. I want to be talking about it in a positive way, and I definitely think they're off to a great start. Oh, and one last thing, circling back to something you were just saying, you were kind of equating this to the evolution from Halo 4. To be honest, I feel like this is an evolution from Halo 3. That was the vibes that I was getting from this, especially the way that you're using the equipment, just the the weapons, the map design so far. This felt more Halo 3 to me than it did anything that we got with Reach or Halo 4 or beyond.
Okay. So I want to go into a little bit of the technical side, because I know you and I, that's where we cut our teeth from a career standpoint. I know just prior to the launch, they were tinkering with servers. Something had happened with a server build that they pushed out. They were just going and just, I guess, redoing a new gold image to push out. I'm curious now with the technology that we're in now, right? Where, obviously they're running Azure. They can push out servers at a much higher clip or a much faster rate than potentially they could before, where it might have been a longer process spinning up VMs, whereas now it's an automated thing with load balancing, et cetera. I'm curious how much that is going to impact launch night, because we know that's usually the first, obviously they're doing these flights, and they'll do, public betas, et cetera, to get, to really test and tweak and make sure that they've got the performance optimized for everybody. I'm curious now how that technology, because obviously they are one of the big two players for cloud technology in the world, right? Between them and AWS with Amazon. I'm curious how much better that experience is going to be, where maybe finding matches is going to be a little bit quicker. Server tick rates are going to be improved. Obviously, we're not going to see a lot of problems with ping times, obviously, with they're a much larger global presence than they were 10, 15 years ago with cloud technology. I'm curious your thoughts on that.
Well, I think this is part of the flighting. I think this is what we're seeing right now. They're testing all this out. I would imagine we'll get to that final flight is them just, opening up the spigot and allowing everyone in to literally test what you're talking about right now. How quickly can they ramp up, and push these servers out? Because it looks like everything's going to be on dedicated servers. They're not going to be doing anything peer to peer. So, like you said, Azure is obviously powering a lot of this. I'm from a technical standpoint, from an engineer standpoint, fascinated to see, because you have to imagine, especially with this being free to play, they're going to have a huge opening night audience wanting to jump in and play multiplayer. I mean, it might be unprecedented how many people jump in on this. The fact that you're going to be able to play this on so many different devices. All the Xbox One consoles, the Series X and the S consoles, all the PC. Look, some Loki, all the PC variants that are going to be out there. It's going to be on cloud too. So you could pick up an iPad, a phone, or whatever, and you're going to be able to play all this stuff. And you got to get everyone in. You got to scale these servers up, blah, 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 blah. We're going to see the 4v4s, the big team battle, all this, I almost cursed, but all the stuff that you're going to see. Yeah, from an engineering standpoint, from an infrastructure standpoint, this is going to be such a great test case for Azure and how they're going to be able to spin up these servers at any given time. So yeah, I'm very fascinated to see. and again, getting nerdy for a second, this is also probably going to be something that Microsoft, forget Xbox, Microsoft is going to use as a test case to show other companies, here's how we can use Azure. Look how we scaled up and engage with millions of players, on opening night for the biggest game in the history of our company on the 20. Like, you're going to see all this stuff that they're going to be able to use in other avenues of business. Absolutely. To say, look, this is why you want to come on Azure. Screw AWS. Come to Azure because this is what we can do. Right. So it's going to be interesting. And look, let's be realistic. There will be issues on the first night.
I can imagine.
100%. There's no way around it. You can't. What do you think realistically? Again, free to play. This is the thing. Is the big thing that people need to wrap their heads around.
Correct.
That multiplayer is free to play. That means there's no money you have to put up front to be able to play Halo Infinite on, let's just say, November 15th, right? So you're bringing in that PC audience. Everyone that owns an Xbox is going to be able to jump in and play. What do you think? I'm trying to realistically think of a number the first night that's probably going to try and play this game. 3 million?
I'd almost go higher simply because if you're throwing the Game Pass on mobile perspective, you've got people. Remember, more people have mobile phones. More people have mobile phones than they have consoles and PCs combined. So just think, and then you could probably say 3 million just in the United States alone. Expand that to
I'm trying to
expand that globally. We're talking probably an easy 10, 15 million, I could assume.
Wow. That would be bananas.
Yeah.
That would be bananas.
Just think of the numbers. The sheer numbers, and then being able to just manage each one of those individual endpoints around the world and then syncing them into 8-on-8, 5-on-5, big team battles, all while also tracking people that aren't even playing the multiplayer, people that are playing the single player campaigns, and managing it, just all that information. I can't imagine seeing that information trickle in.
It's going to be such a fascinating night for not only that game, but just Xbox Live as a whole. Because remember, that won't be the only game people are playing at that time to see how it holds up and how they manage all that. Because you got to think, look, the Activision stuff aside, whether what we personally think or not, Call of Duty is going to be a thing at that time as well. A ton of people are going to be jumping on that. Like we talk about Back 4 Blood. There's going to be so many different multiplayer and co-op games that people are going to be engaging with during that November time frame. But Halo is going to be huge for them. Honestly, and I'm sure once we get closer to launch, there are going to be a lot more interviews and things. I would love if we could get someone from the engineering side for 343, because I would legitimately love to ask that question. What are your expectations? What do you think? How many people are you expecting to be on their opening night? Because I would love to know what that number is, because they have to go in with some kind of realistic expectation because they have to be prepared for it. And then even probably what they think, it'll probably be more, and they have to be ready to, to spin up and scale up, at a moment's notice on that too, to handle all the foot traffic that's going to be coming in. So it's going to be exciting, man. It's exciting that we're able to talk about this game in this way, where we're not going by, I went in that preview and I don't know, man, they need to fix this and need to do that. We're not having those conversations. Nope. We're just talking about, hey, we're excited to play it and how many people are going to want to play it because we think it's that good. So that is a great thing. So Halo, any last words on that before we move on?
I'm hoping the three of us, obviously I say three because Danny's not here, but I know he's out on vacation. I'm hoping that the three of us, if not during this flight, at least for the subsequent flights coming up after this. I've been a Halo insider for years now, so I get the flights. I get access to the flights automatically. So I'm hoping that the two of you can get in, so that way we can get in on some Halo action, because I can't remember the last time the three of us were in a Halo match together.
Well, I was going to say, Halo match. I don't know if have we ever.
I know. The night with Bonnie Ross. At E3. That was the only. I think that's the last time the three of us. I think we were doing a big team battle as well at the same time. But I think that was the last time the three of us played Halo.
I was going to say the last thing, and maybe we've done Destiny, but the last memory I have, the three of us actually playing a multiplayer game together, was freaking Sea of Thieves and Danny sinking our ship. That's my last memory.
Still my favorite video of all time on our stream.
Oh my God. It's so hilarious. Speaking of, because again, you and I haven't podcasted too much together recently. Have you played the Pirates of the Caribbean stuff?
I have not. I unfortunately, being 9 hours between you and Danny and myself, that 9 hour difference really puts the kibosh on a lot of game time opportunities for the three of us.
We should figure that out. Yeah. It's fun. It's fun, and definitely putting a crew together and not doing, like, you can do it solo, but being able to do those missions with a full crew is a lot of fun. We should definitely figure that out. I think you'll like it. To me, that was another happy surprise that came out of E3 for them, because again, I got to see it early. I'll never forget seeing that early. I go, ooh, they're on to something here, So yeah, we definitely got to figure that out.
Absolutely.
But okay, we'll put a pin in Halo. I'm sure we'll be talking a lot more Halo here over the next few weeks, especially as they continue to put these flights out, and I'm definitely looking forward to jumping in on those. So moving away from Xbox, and let's go into the world of PlayStation. So a couple topics on that. First one I want to talk about is Horizon Forbidden West. They haven't officially said it, but everything that we're seeing, under Jason Schreier has reported on this. Jeff Grubb has talked about it. IGN even now is pretty much saying it, that Horizon Forbidden West is going to get delayed into early 2022. Curious what you think, Pete. I'll just say, for me personally, not surprised. Just the lack of information that we were seeing, here over the summer about it since the state of play was starting to make me think, I'm not sure this game's going to make it. And honestly, that's fine. With COVID, just everything going on, it's just not a surprise to me. And I'm more than happy to wait until early 2022 to get my hands on it. But curious what you think.
Again, we talked about it with Halo. I can't think of anything bad with taking a title out of a launch window in order to improve and make sure that the expectations heaped upon it are met. Obviously, we're seeing the fruits of that with Halo Infinite and so on. And we've talked about this ad nauseum on this show countless times.
Yeah.
If you have to take it out, that's okay. I'm okay with it. I'll be all right. I'm a be okay. If you want to take 6 months to a year or longer, if that's what it takes, especially if I am going to be investing $60, $70 in some cases, or even more, towards improving what I am supposed to ultimately be receiving as a consumer. So I am totally okay with it. If you got to take another year, you do that, and you make the new Horizon title as the best it can be, because what they did with that first title was remarkable. And so now you have set that bar at a certain height. And if you don't at least meet or exceed that, obviously exceeding that is the goal. But if you don't at least meet that bar from that first title, it's going to be a disappointment.
Yeah.
Right? So there's so much hype and expectation, I think, heaped upon this because it was a successful first run on that first game. But yeah, take a year, take 18 months if you got to. But if you make a game that at least as good or better, not a single person has any right to complain.
This is Gamertag Radio. Voicemail at 786-2737-GTR.
This episode of Gamertag Radio is brought to you by Rise, a science-based app that makes it easy to improve your sleep to increase your daily energy. Did you know you can become a morning person? And don't worry, you don't have to stop using your phone before bed, and you can do it without buying a new mattress, supplements, or a weighted blanket. Rise uses a scientific, fact-based approach to help you get the sleep your body needs. It's built around the two principles that sleep researchers agree most effective on how we feel and perform: sleep debt and circadian rhythm. Circadian rhythm. See, I'm doing this real time. Circadian rhythm. Sleep debt and circadian rhythm. Sleep debt is the only sleep score that matters. Rise tracks how much sleep you owe your body relative to your own unique sleep need and helps you pay it back. Your circadian rhythm dictates your personal energy peaks and dips throughout the day. Rise not only predicts your daily energy schedule, it helps you take control of it. Rise works by pulling historical data from your phone to tell your sleep needs, track your sleep debt, and determine the best time for you to go to sleep. Rise can also pull data from any apps and wearables you already use. Every morning, Rise tells you how long you'll be groggy, when your peak focus times will be, and when you should start winding down for better sleep and more energy the next day. With Rise, you can improve 16 science-based habits that will help you reduce your sleep debt and optimize your day based on your energy schedule. So again, I'm a weirdo with sleep. You know, I'm always up at 5 a.m. So an app like Rise is really going to help me kind of track my patterns during the day so I can know when I need to start winding down so that if I am getting up at 5 a.m., I can be ready to go to attack the day. So Rise help you realize your potential with real results, real productivity, real performance, and real well-being. Go to risescience.com/GTR and download the Rise app today to try it for free, 7 days for free. Most Rise users feel the benefits in just 5 days. So try it today to learn more about your sleep and energy levels, plus feel better, all for free during the 7-day trial. Whether you want to become a morning person, be less exhausted during the day, or improve your productivity and daily energy, Rise is the power behind your next best day. That's risescience.com/GTR to try the Rise app free for 7 days. Again, risescience.com/GTR to try the Rise app free for 7 days. Thank you for being a sponsor of Gamertag Radio.
You're listening to Gamertag Radio.
No one should be complaining about this at all. And again, it's just the reality of the world that we live in right now. There should be zero expectations for any game. Like, hell, we just talked about Halo. While I don't think it will get delayed into 2022, if it did, so what? It's just the world that we're in right now, you know? So yeah, if Guerrilla needs more time to get that thing polished and to get it right, take more time and get it right. I mean, it's as simple as that. For me, it was my most anticipated game for 2021. That was the one that I wanted to play the most because I just adore the Horizon series. And I was very eager, you know, to continue the adventures of Aloy and see where it was going, especially after that state of play. I think it showed very well. So, you know, a slight bummer, but again, not surprised. And I think I will have enough to occupy me this holiday anyways with games that I'm not overly concerned about it. But I would just say overall, as we look into 2022, man, because so many things have been pushed into 2022, stacked. 2022 has the potential to be one of the biggest gaming years we've ever seen, just because, you know, the unfortunate events of the pandemic, you know, has just delayed so many games that by the time they're ready, it kind of looks like we're all going to see them in that same calendar year, which I will also say, don't be surprised if games get delayed even into 2023, just because you're not going to want to stack everything up against each other. It's just not smart business, in my opinion, you know, to especially your own in-house games. Why are you don't want a Titanfall 2 situation. So why would you make them compete against each other? If a game can get pushed into 2023, then so be it. Clearly we look at Xbox has pretty much told us that, you know, we're going to get Redfall in the summer. We're going to get Starfield. Wouldn't hold my breath for a Fable or a Perfect Dark or anything like that. They're going to push that stuff out. I would even say with PlayStation, don't be shocked if God of War turns out to be a 2023 game. Just saying it now. Don't be shocked. If you're going to get Horizon, Gran Turismo, and I'm sure there's some other stuff that they're already working on, God of War is going to be a huge tentpole title for them. What's the urgency to force feed it into 2022? It may happen. I'm not saying it won't. But it won't shock me if that winds up being a 2023 game as well, along with some other stuff that obviously I'm sure they're going to announce, you know, here over the next, you know, 6 to 9 months that'll eventually be coming out. So we'll see. We'll see how it all plays out. But I would say just overall for gaming, delays aside, like I don't feel like here in 2021, like I've been severely lacking on games. I feel like I've had some great experiences this year. And if anything, it's allowed me to embrace my back catalog more. I've really played more AA and indie games this year, and the AAA stuff will be there. I'm not overly concerned, which, you know, I'll side tangent because I already talked about this with Danny. Have you played Death's Door yet?
No, I have not.
Go play it. I'm just going to simply say this. Go play it. If you loved Link to the Past, the old Zelda games, go play it. It is in that vein. It is my favorite game this year. Right? If right now, today, if you said, Parris, what is your game of the year? It is no longer Ratchet and Clank. It is Death's Door. And people call me crazy and say whatever they want. I don't care because it's my opinion. Wow. If Jeff Keighley were to hit me up, I was like, Parris, we really love you to announce Game of the Year at the Game Awards. I would look at Jeff and I say, Jeff, as long as it's Death's Door, I'm your guy. That's what I would say. But no, seriously, it's fantastic. I absolutely love that game. It is worth your $20 to go pick it up and to play it. It's phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. But that's kind of my point. Here's a AA game that I feel has slid in through the back door and has absolutely stole the show. Just has, for me. And I'm not saying by the time we get to December, it will be the game of the year. I'm sure something else will happen and change my mind. But as we sit here on August 1st of this recording, it is my game of the year.
Just purchased it on Steam.
There you go. Perfect. You'll love it.
Just on that recommendation right there.
You'll again, I don't even want to spoil it. You'll see. I'll leave it at that. But moving on, staying with PlayStation here before as we start to wrap this stuff up. Final thing. The PlayStation 5 and the SSD expansion. Before I even say a word, I am curious your thoughts. What do you think about all this?
I think if I were to own a PS5, I am the target demographic for a change or an upgrade in this vein, right? I build PCs on a regular basis, right? So something
we do.
Exactly. Something like this is not something that is a challenge or whatnot for either of us. My concern is for Danny, no offense, the Dannys of the consumer base, where they're not familiar. And this is in no way, shape, or form any dig at Danny, maybe. But most people, most consumers, and obviously
it's a dig at Danny.
Okay, fine, I'll take it. All right, it is what it is. Consoles are a much larger consumer base for this industry than PC players. And most people go into consoles, Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, whatever it is you're playing, because they don't want to deal with the minutia of having to upgrade your power supply. Oh, do I have a loose cable? Oh, I blew out my, I've got an overheat here. Oh, I got to put in more fans. Oh, I got to get an AIO, or I got to do hard tubing cooling because I want more performance. They don't want to deal with that. They just want to press power on the controller, and play their games, right? My confusion for this whole storyline or narrative that we're seeing online is that Sony did this before with a proprietary storage medium, the Vita, and for a lot of the PSP did it as well. Why didn't they just do it again for their largest console that nobody can find anyways? You've sold 10 million units. Why not just make it a proprietary piece of hardware like Microsoft is doing? Make it easier for people. Now, I understand that Sony owners, myself included, I've done it before, I did it before on my PlayStation 3, you were able to do this anyways. But again, am I truly the target demographic for something like this? And if you go online, you can't find it in Amazon. You can't find this new Seagate 530 that is obviously Seagate's FireCuda 530. That's the one that's, scheduled to come out starting from $150 all the way to $1,000. depending on if you're getting the 500 gig or the 4 terabyte solution. But you're making it difficult for your consumers who may or not be, I mean, hey, it's not holiday season, but we're bringing back little Johnny. Johnny's parents come up and they got to go to Best Buy to look and try to find, a replacement hard drive or this new hard drive to upgrade little Johnny's PlayStation 5. And they're going to go through how many potential units before they find one that's actually the right one? Because it's very, very, Sony's been very specific with its requirements. Not everybody has the wherewithal or the patience to read through a small technical document, much less, a larger version for something much more technically astute. But if that person doesn't get the right card, if it doesn't have a heat sink on it, et cetera, blah, 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 you might end up not getting the performance you're expecting out of this out of this M.2 drive. So why not just do the proprietary solution, which you've done in the past? And for me, that's been the only part that I've been confused about. You did it in the past. What changed? Why are you now saying, okay, you can buy whatever you want as long as it's the certain one, and you have to almost read an instruction manual to figure out what it is exactly that you're getting. Yes, you're going to have third parties that are going to go. Obviously, Seagate's already talked about theirs, but Microsoft made it really stupidly simple. Just buy the expansion card, put it in the back, and have a nice day. Or just any USB 3.0 hard drive, plug it in the back. It works. Why make it difficult?
So I hear everything you're saying, and I totally get it. But I personally feel all this is completely overblown. I just do. I think, again, we love Danny. This is nothing directly against him, but using it as an example, Danny's not going to have a problem putting in an expansion drive into his PlayStation 5. You pop the cover off, you take a screw out, you put it in, you put the screw back on, put the cover on, and you're done. You're only doing this like one time anyway, so it's not like this constant thing that you have to do. I understand that, I wouldn't expect Rox to run out and go do it, but my son would know how to do it. It's not overly complicated. If you put, my concern, because I tweeted about this before, my concern is people not doing the proper research for the right SSD drive to get, or putting a heatsink on. I even saw that Gigabyte, they're coming out, and look, none of these drives are cheap. I've said that from the get. They're not going to be cheap for a while. So if you really got to expand your storage, you're going to pay for it. So take price out of the equation. It's expensive whether you get the Xbox or the PlayStation 5 version, regardless. But doing the actual research on the one to get for the PlayStation is going to be the bigger issue. And like I said, Gigabyte came out with the video yesterday, and I joked around like, oh no, this is too complicated. But what you're going to start to see is Western Digital, Gigabyte, Seagate, and some of these others, they're going to basically put PlayStation 5 compatible on there. And that's what people are going to have to start looking for with that. Again, it comes down to the individual consumer actually taking freaking 2 seconds of research to understand the drive that they need to get. And this is why PlayStation has had to go above and beyond with warning people. Not all drives are going to work. You may see this, you're going to see that. But that was a decision they made at the beginning, that they weren't going to have a proprietary drive and they were going to let people buy it off of the shelf. I think if you're buying things off the shelf as a consumer, educate yourself. I mean, it comes down to that. Is the Xbox solution the better and easier one? Yeah, because it's plug and play. You get what you pay for. It's not cheap. Yeah, you get that. I have that Seagate drive. They gave it to me for a review. So yeah, you plug it in and you're done. I don't think I've touched that thing since October when I got it, right? It's been literally been plugged into my Series X that entire time. And that same thing's going to happen with the PlayStation 5. You're going to go buy a drive. You're going to install it. You'll probably never touch it again. I mean, and that's it. So I just think the uproar of this has just been completely overblown. It's not that serious. And I think for people, here's my other thing. And look, I'm not saying the PlayStation 5 drive is the biggest and you'll run out of storage on it quick. To me, am I really trying to have 10, 15 games installed all at once? Not really. I might have a couple installed and for there. So I don't feel like an urge right now with my PlayStation 5, like I need to expand the storage on it. So it's a non-starter for me. Even with my Series X, yeah, I have the expansion drive on there. I'm not using it. I'm pretty sure I'm not over a terabyte yet of games that I keep consistently on there. So I think for most people, this isn't going to be that big of a deal. And if you really absolutely got to have the storage in there, do the research on the one that you get. That's it. And I think by the time we get into next year, as more PlayStation 5s are available and you see more people starting to get them, like I said, I think you will see these hard drive manufacturers put that branding on these SSD drives so people know what they're getting. So they can quickly walk into Best Buy, see it says it's PS5 compatible. All right, I'm going to get that one. Go buy it. Do the freaking 2 minutes of installation and be done with it. But that's just me. And you're on mute.
Sorry about that. As a PC main, it had to be, right? As a PC main, it just frustrates me that now I've got to deal with console owners dipping into my stash of hard drives. So that's going to make hard drives that much more harder to buy. I'm going to assume. Granted, these SSDs, I think they're a little bit shorter than a full size SSD, but they also have double-sided heat sinks, etc. Whatever. As a PC main, I think it's just going to make buying hard drives a little bit more difficult, but not so much so that I'm not going to be able to I'm never going to be able to upgrade it. I agree with you in the sense that yes, once you install it, you're done, right? It's that one and done factor. It could be for both sides, right? Whether it's a proprietary USB or proprietary slot based, or in this case, right? You got to take things apart, unscrew it, put things in. As long as they can, if not brand them themselves outside of what Microsoft is doing, but at least slap the big PS5 logo over the top of it and saying compatible with PlayStation 5, etc. As long as that is fine. As long as they I think if they were to go out and publish a list at some point, at least when the firmware goes live, to most people, I know it's in beta right now, but if they could do that with a subset as opposed to being vague about it, I think it'd be great. I think it would make life a little bit easier. Probably get rid of a lot of this narrative online. Yeah.
To me, I think a lot of this is just performance art online. I think people love to, I got to create an uproar. Oh my God, it's the end of the world. You have to install an SSD drive because they just want the attention that you get for saying that stuff on social media. To me, it's not that big of a deal. It just isn't. So look, your mileage may vary. I even see people in the chat, saying that it is a big deal. I disagree with you. Do your research. It only takes 2 seconds on Google to figure out how to do this. It's not that hard. But let's go ahead and wrap up the show here. We've gone over an hour at this point. But I think it's good. Like I said, great talk on Halo. Obviously, we talked about the Ascent already. Delays in games, just everything that comes with it. But it's just the reality of where we are in the world right now. And hopefully, as we get into 2022, some of this stuff will start to ease up, and we'll start to see some of these great games start to come out. But Pete, again, thank you for joining us. And for everyone that's out there been watching live on Twitch or listening to this, I want to remind you again, if you have a comment, you want to leave us any feedback, you can do it just like this.
Send us your feedback or questions. Give us a call at 786-273-7GTR. Email us at fanmail@gamertagradio.com or leave a message on speakpipe.com/gamertagradio.
All right, and this has been episode 1152 of Gamertag Radio. I'm Parris, that's Pete, and we'll see you guys again real soon.
Thanks for listening to Gamertag Radio. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.